Mike, again, slow start. Defense looked a lot better in the second half. Is there any correlation to why you feel like this defense might be, slow starter but coming around in the second half of these games?
It's execution, and then I think once they can see it on the sideline on the iPad, once we can see it, we can adjust some of the calls we're making as well, put them in a better position. So it's on the defense as a whole. But we got to execute, and you can't start off slow and kind of spot them what we spotted them. But we got to execute, and that's all we're doing is getting better at exactly the same things we were doing in the first half. All right, there was no magic change, no different play call. Nobody's doing anything special other than executing the play called and doing our job and communicating. And on top of that, when we got an opportunity to get a turnover in the second half, we took advantage of it. In the first half, we did not. So that made a huge difference too.
Manny had an outstanding game statistically wise anyway. What does that do for the defense to have your leader going out and making 20 tackles, forcing a fumble, 1.5 tackles for loss?
Going to sound crazy, but I expect a lot more out of Manny Powell. I expect more out of Charles Correa and Alex Sanford. I did not feel like, as a group of linebackers, we played to what we should have. And some of the defense revolves around them. And if they're not those guys, we're going to start slow. The first play, right, was Manny Powell and Charles Correa. They rushed for 11 yards, first play. Could have been a tackle in the backfield. So it's great, and I'm really proud of Manny. But I expect a lot more.
Going off that, I think PFF had you with 16 missed tackles. That's going to kill you. The penalties were backbreakers. Is it just a matter of you guys kind of beating yourselves here at this point?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that. I think there's we have to have confidence in what we do as players on the field. And then we have to go make plays. And then when a guy goes down and the next guy goes in, we don't expect there to be a drop-off. And so we have a lot of work to do in that category. But tackling is leverage and confidence and belief. And we need work in that category.
Smiley Bradford, someone who has flashed a lot this season. I know probably not always with the consistency that you're looking for at the end result, but just how would you evaluate his play, what he brings to the defense?
He's improving every week, and that's that's one of the better things you could say about a person, about a football player. He continues to improve every week, and he continues to show up on Saturday every week, and he continues to make plays. Are there more plays he could make? Yes. Are there a few plays that he could have made too that would have probably changed the game for us? Yes. But he is making plays, and he is doing. He's been great for our defense. Gives us a lot of momentum when he can make the plays he makes. But there are some we're leaving out there, and that's the difference in us winning and not winning, and we need to make them.
What was the evaluation process for finding his positional fit? Right away when you looked at things, did you think that's a nickel, or did you look at him in different places around this defense?
Yeah, I think we looked at him in several different places, but I think, you look back at what he did before we got here, what he was able to do, and then you look at his body type and even going back to high school, he's from St. Louis, Missouri, so I had a little bit of familiarity with that. So all that combined, I think we always thought he'd wind up at nickel. There was some competition there with him and some other guys early in the year. But anytime it's time to go, you can count on Smiley, and that's why he's out there.
Mike, well, what can this defense hang its hat on?
Yeah, I would hope it is playing hard and fighting, but that's not good enough for anything. I'd like to say we could stop the run, and we have at times, but then you also have games like this past weekend where we didn't. So, when we put it all together, I think we have an aggressive defensive back group. I think we have speed at linebacker that can go stop the run. And I think we could play fast and be physical. Now, that's we have a lot of work to do to get there. But, I think up front, we've done, like I said, up until this game, when you hold a good rushing team to 30 yards in a game, you got something. But then you can't go out the next week, and, part of it's the linebackers, it's the defensive line. You can't go out the next week and then give up 200 yards and 230. Okay, it's just, you can't do it. So we have to be consistent. And yeah, we have to hang our hat on stopping the run and making teams one-dimensional. And when we do that, then we have to be creative enough in the back end to confuse a quarterback and hopefully get our hands on enough footballs and catch those footballs that we can change the game.
When you leave the defensive room, who do you count on to be the leaders?
Manny Powell, Taj Rael, C.J. Nunley, Tony Grimes.
Penalties were an issue again. I think there were 8 last week, 6 were on the defense. How do you address that with the squad?
Yeah, we have to practice with better technique. We have to practice with better hand placement at defensive back. And then practice also breeds confidence. And at the defensive back position, you have to play with extreme confidence. And so the more that we can learn that every play in practice matters, every single one, because our actions become our habits, and our habits is who we are. We can come in a film room and we can talk about it all we want, but talking doesn't change the darn thing that you actually do. So we can come in a film room and we can talk about it, or we can go out on the field and actually go do it. And I think we need to do a better job with our habits and the things we do every single day. I think there's a lot of things you can point to in practice and say, look here, practice, look here in the game. And it's identical. And we have to cut those things down.